Good day. As you know, I am Kaylin, and today we're going to be discussing CS Time. So we're going to go through the program. I'm going to give you an overview and just to discuss, what all the windows have, the features of CS Time, etc. So CS Time consists then of the user module. You've got your configuration module and then also your backup module. So your user module is obviously where you as the operator would then work in and check those hours and check the clockings, etc. Your configuration module is where is like the back end where your shifts will get set up, all those rules, and your leave types and all that information there. Your backup module is obviously then for backups, in which you can obviously then do those backups onto your server. So the user module is what we're going to basically be going through mostly today, just to show you where you can find what. And then, like I say, all the different features then. So if you open up your user module, you'll see then your main screen that you've got here. There's a few icons on the top left-hand side. Now, your first icon is your Browse Employees window, and this is probably the most important window in the software because everything that you need is in this window that you can find here. So in this Browse Employee window, you would obviously then be able to see all your employees. You can also then go and add employees or change employee information here, or then also then remove or terminate employees from this window as well. On the left hand side, you'll see there's a whole lot of links here where you can actually then access your clockings and check your hours and your daily hours and add any leave that's needed, or set up then your charge rates in HR. So first things off, let's say start off with adding an employee. Then we can just go through those features there. So adding an employee, yes, like I said, you would edit all the information that's needed there in terms of employee numbers and ID numbers and last names. You could fill all that information in there. Then you've got your shifts tab where you can actually go and allocate the shifts that this employee would be working on, their main shift. You've got your access tab, which will set in all your access rights according to what time zone this employee may work in, or the access rights, where is he allowed to clock, and where is he currently, is he inside his area or is he outside. You also then have your classifications, which you would then set up where he's actually, classified according to his company or his branch, or, depending on what you've obviously got set up here, you would go and allocate that accordingly there. You've then got your employment tab, which is all his information pertaining to his hire date, and if you've then got annual leave that you say, okay, fine, this guy has got 18 days of leave for the year, you would actually enter that in here. Then you can also specify what days he's available for working, so that on your rostering calendar it can show you that this guy is available either just in the week, or he can work Saturdays and perhaps the other guy cannot work Saturdays. That would be what your available section would be, that you can set that. And obviously the more information you put into the system, the more you can get out of it in terms of reports there. So all the information that is here, you can then, some of them are obviously, the reports are default, so this information wouldn't necessarily be in those default reports, but at least those reports can be customized and changed with that information that's needed there. You've got your medical tab then as well, which is all his medical information in terms of his medical aid on there, numbers, and his contact details of his doctor and all that information there. Anything that pertains to medical is here. You also have your personal tab, which has got all his postal address information and emails and all that other information that's needed there. Now also what's important to remember here is that this is purely just for information. Sometimes then your payroll system would actually have all this information in, and you perhaps don't want to duplicate the work. Other times it would be nice to have this information. Remember, I said the more you put in, the more you can get out. So if this information is in here, you can then customize a report to get that information out of there. And it is always nice to just have all the information in one place then. You've also got your HR tab, so if you've got the HR module enabled, you can obviously then control all that information as well and enter that in terms of his banking details and how many dependents he's got and his marital status, etc., etc. there. You've also got your pension tab, which has got his pension, just as with your medical details. You've got your pension scheme details and all those account numbers and that. You've then got your hierarchy. Now your hierarchy then is creating like a a little tree that you can say, okay, fine, this guy either supervises, the following employees if he is a supervisor, or then if this is an employee, he is supervised by, he's supervisor, he's manager, or whatever. So you would set up then a tree according to, who he falls under, or, who he falls under him, type of thing. And this is basically used then when you're going to be, if you're using the web interface, you can, control then who this employee may see when they're actually logging in, because who does he actually supervise and who may, whose hours may he change there. Then you've got your web tab, which is then also pertains to your web interface, but you would then set your web login and your password there. And whether that's this user is actually a web administrator as well. You've also then got your clocks tab, which you can set then if they have to log into the clock for some reason there and set that information. You can set then the same as with the web. You can set then password details and whether they're administrators or not. You can also then set up whether this employee only clocks with a finger, or if he's allowed to clock with a pin, or then a proximity card, or if he's a finger. So you can set then what option he may clock with. So if it's purely fingerprint, you can say fingerprint required, or if there is then a combination of them, you can select that accordingly too. And then you've got your biometrics tab. Now this biometric tabs here shows you whether the employee has been enrolled or not. If you're using fingerprint, it'll show you that that finger has been enrolled, on which reader it's been enrolled, and that information there. Then you've also got then your other tab, which is if you've set up any custom fields, it will then be shown in this other screen here, where you can obviously then go and select any extra information that you've added this. So like I said, there is about 10 fields that you can put in here. You can obviously go and edit that according to what, if there's something else that you need, vehicle registration number or whatever that may be, you can set up those custom fields and go and put that information in there. So that's a general overview of your employee details there. Obviously changing would be the same, bring up the same screen there. You can also, you'll see then in this browse employee screens at the bottom is a send to button. Now any screen that you see a send to button to, that information that you're seeing there, you can actually send then to the printer or to Excel or to a file, etc., etc. there. Okay. You've then got your clockings on the left hand side, which is obviously where you would view all your clockings and information. If I just go back, let's go back to Jan. Let's see. I've got some information here in June. You can view any clockings information there. You can also go and change any clockings or edit any clockings that are needed in the screen, and obviously go and remove them there. Once again, there's a send to button as well, which you can send this information to a file or to the printer. You've got your from and to date, which you can obviously set in your period that you want to view. And also from the screen you can then go and enter in your leave or check any warnings. Now warnings is basically if the employee clocked in late or if he's left early, depending on your shift setup, those warnings will then be generated, and you can obviously go and view those there. You've also got your error screen where if the employee forgot to clock out, for argument's sake, you will see those errors in that screen there. So that's your clockings window. Same thing with your daily hours. You can view then according to what your shifts have been set up. It'll calculate those hours for you and allocate them to the appropriate columns there. In this window you can obviously also go and add manual hours. Now it's important to remember that if it's a processed hours, which will be shown by this little processor icon here, you cannot go and change that information. The way you're going to change those hours is to go and actually edit the clockings and change those clockings. It'll then reprocess these hours according to those clockings again. Once again, you can also do the send to here. You can then edit your leave and check your warnings and errors from the screen as well. Okay, so we'll come back to all the other ones there then. You've got your payroll, your daily rostering. Let's go there first. Now this would be then where you would allocate the shifts. If you're using the feature called rostering, where these guys perhaps don't have a set pattern that they're working, there's multiple shifts that they could work, you can actually go and schedule them according to the pattern that they would be working then. So you can put them, if we just take a look at this one, we can see that on Monday this employee is working at 8 till 4 shift, and Tuesday and Wednesday they're working 8 till 5, and Thursday they're working at 8 till 4 shift again, and Friday they're obviously working a little bit earlier, they're only working till 2 o'clock. So you can go and schedule that, and obviously according to those shift rules that have been set up, it will then calculate those hours in your daily hours window. Now in your payroll hours, this is generally the hours that we will be going through to VIP or Pastel or whichever payroll system you have, and this would then calculate how many hours this employee has actually worked for that entire then week or month, depending on what your pay period is. So like I said, the hours that are shown here then would actually then be carried through to your payroll system then. Okay, so then you've got your leave tab, which you can then enter any leave that you have there. So if you've got, you can either do it by list, or then you can also do it in calendar view, the same as with the rostering. Let's just go and tick off these. We only want to see what leave types these guys have been on. If you only want to see a specific type of leave, you can also go and only tick that one. But this is nice also to do, you know, some leave planning with this guy. Set his leave, you know, ahead of time and check when is he taking leave and in December, etc., etc. So you can go and edit that and add that leave type. And obviously then if your shifts are set up to give hours automatically for that day, it'll then give him his, you know, standard hours then. But you can enter those leave types there then as well. Obviously these are also your standard leave types that you've got here. You can go and edit them or add additional leave types that are needed there. If that is required, you can then just ask your consultant to add those leave types and set them up according to your rules there. And then, as I said before, your warnings is if your employee was absent or clocked in late or left early, for argument's sake, the errors will then actually pop up in the screen where you can actually go and check that information there then. If you only want to see a certain type of clocking warning, you can actually go and untick those that you don't want to see. If you're not worried about the guy that left early, you can obviously go and tick that as to what you want to see there. There's also a send to button here in which you can actually send that then to a screen or to the printer again. And you can also then view this in calendar view where you can see then you know what this guy, if he's been absent or left early, and if there is a pattern that's being formed there that this guy is coming late or leaving early, you know, on a specific day there. You've also then got your errors in which you can check then if the employee didn't clock out. You can check this. You can obviously fix this information as well there. So if this guy didn't clock out, you can go and fix the errors from that screen and then go and add those clockings in there. Obviously, if there's errors as well, you need to remember that the system is not going to calculate any hours, so it is important for you to actually fix these errors in the screen then. As soon as there is any errors that need your attention, you'll see at the top there is a red stop sign. Once it has actually been fixed, let's just go and fix this error. You'll see also a red dot appears next to that employee's name. Let's just say fix errors. And let's see, here's a in clocking, but there's no out one. It's been obviously deleted by accidentally. I'm going to go and change that and approve that and have this calculate again. And let's just see, here's another error. Let's just reprocess that one. As soon as we've closed it and we don't have any errors in the system, it'll change to a green go sign. And then you know you're ready for payroll. So that's a quick indicator that at least shows there then. You've also then on your left hand side got the cards that's been allocated to this employee. You can go and assign another card if there is there, or if you know if this guy doesn't have a card. This screen will only show you the available cards that are in your system. So those that have been assigned to the employees will not appear in that list. And once you assign that card, you can obviously then, you know, go and enroll the fingerprint if you're using fingerprint technology, or, you know, the employee can actually clock in with that card if that's the technology that you're using then. You also have the payroll shifts in which you can actually then go and do some, you know, set the shift. So let's say this guy is on a payroll shift of 8 till 5 for, you know, a week's time, and then he changed, if we had to change this in departments, he might work a week in the bakery, and the following week or 2 weeks he'll work, you know, as a cashier, whatever that may be, you can actually schedule the entire payroll shift then in the screen. So because you've got your daily shifts and you've got then your payroll shifts as well. Now daily shifts is per day, so you would only schedule then for the Monday or for the Tuesday or the Wednesday, whereas in this screen, in your shift history screen, you would actually schedule him on the payroll shift, which then, let's say your shift is set up as a weekly shift. It'll apply all the rules of that shift to this guy's hours then for that week that he's on or so. So you're basically doing it for, a pay period or so that you are scheduling him on there. You then have your charge rates, which if you are using the feature charge rates, you can actually set up then, what this, set up this charge rate according to, how many dollars or rands it is per hour. This actually gets set up then in your configuration system. The rules, the rand values or the dollar values get set up in the configuration module, but you can obviously go and then allocate this to the employee, and according to the hours that is worked, it'll obviously calculate then, and the charge rates that's been assigned, it'll calculate the monetary value of that labor that's been done that week. You also have your payroll codes. So if there is individual payroll codes, that this employee has got, it's not a general for normal hours, it's a payroll code of base hourly. He's got an individual one that is only for him. You can go and set up individual payroll codes, which will then be used when exporting to your payroll system there. Then you've got your HR section, which pertains to all your different HR things. You can go and set up the dependents of this employee if they have any, if you want that information, and obviously if you've got the HR module enabled. If you do not have the HR module enabled, you won't see any of these information, this information here either. Or obviously if you've got the feature turned off there, you won't see that then. So you've got your dependents, you've got then any disciplinary actions or warnings, written warnings or verbal warnings or anything that to do with discipline. You can go and put that information in here if you would like to keep track of that information and who, took the decision, who was there hearing or not, and if you want to link a document to it as well. You can also go and put extra details on what the outcome of that was, etc., etc. You've also then got, if you have to do any equipment control, if you've got a workshop where these guys need to, take certain tools out, you can actually control that here as to which equipment he has taken and when you're expecting it back, and any extra information that pertains to that equipment there. You can keep a record of that in here as well. And like I say, you can obviously then also set up reports to draw information then. You've also got your history where you can actually set up his employment history details, where you can set up, what his salary was, if he's been promoted or not. You can put all that information in here and have it in one place. You can also, if he's a contract worker, you can set up when his contract starts and expires, and what his actual job description is, etc. You can obviously fill in all that information here. You've also got a notes section here, which has got little extra notes that you can put in if there's certain documents that you need to link to here, perhaps an employment contract or something like that that you just want to put in extra information. You can then put that in and link that document then to the system as well, that everything is in one place. You've also then got your training section, where if this guy has got any training, you can go and enter that information and say how long he was on the course and which course was it, and what was the outcome, and perhaps link a certificate to it that you've scanned in. You can keep a record of all that information. Then lastly, you've also got a documents section, which you can also then go and add additional documentation that you'd like to put with all the information. There you can link that then. And that's your HR tab. So that's your main screen of CS Time, where you can find most of the stuff then. You've also then, if you just close the screen, you've got a few more icons on the top here, and just to do a quick run through there, you've got your clocking screen, which is exactly the same as in your Browse Employee screen. The only difference here is that you're seeing everybody and not just one guy. So you're seeing the entire group. You can do exactly the same in the screen. You can add, you can change, and you can remove clockings in the screen. You can also view your warnings, etc., etc. there. You've then got your third icon, which is your daily hours screen. So this is once again the same as your browse payrolls, browse employee screen, sorry, except the difference here is also you seeing for everybody. So you can go and add hours, remove hours, go and set up your rostering, etc. there. Now the only thing that I didn't mention slightly earlier, I just want to go back there and see if we've got some information. I'm going to go back to the blue man, and let's go to this employee. Let's go to our daily hours, and let's see if we can find a day here. Now, in this setup here, we've got overtime authorization set up. In other words, this employee doesn't automatically earn overtime. It needs to be authorized first. So you would set then, your consultant would set up your shifts according to the rules, and then obviously, let's say this guy worked late and you want to first authorize that overtime. They can set it up to go to a holding column, in which you can say, okay, fine, I'm happy with this 8 hours, I actually want to pay him this. You can then go and authorize that overtime, which will then put it into your overtime 1.5 column, and obviously then it'll go through to your payroll system then if it's in there. So overtime authorization can also be set up if you don't want to actually authorize that, and you're happy with, the set rules that if this guy's worked longer than a half an hour, he automatically gets paid that overtime. That can also be set up. It's not a must that you have to use overtime authorization in CS time. Okay, so then just going back here, you've got then the fourth icon, which is your payroll hours. Once again, this is for everybody. It's not just for one individual employee. You've got then your leave, which then shows all the leave of the employees. You can go and view it also in calendar view. And this is nice for your end of the year leave planning, where you can actually go and, check in December and make sure that not the whole, if you're not having company shut, that everybody's not taking leave on the same time. So you can do then your leave planning in the screen. Also, once again, there's a send to button. As soon as you see a send to button, you can send that information to the printer there then. You've then got your daily rostering. So just like with in your browse employee screen, you've got your daily rostering, but this is then on a global basis again, where you can actually see, all the employees here and go roster them according to whichever shifts they would be working there then. You've also then got your jumpstart, which is just if you do get stuck, there is a wizard that you can follow here and just go through, step for step if you need to add an employee or not. Then you've got your reports. Now there's a ton of reports available. Besides these ones that are in this list here, you'll also see if you click on View Archive, there'll be a ton of more reports. And as said before, if there's a report that you don't see here that you would like, or that you do see and you would like to customize a little bit more, that can be done by your consultant there, which can just then edit that report to your liking there. You've then also got your clock setup. Whereas the clock then, according to whatever clock you've got, it'll be set up here with the connection details and all that information there. You've then got, if you're using or exporting to your payroll system, and you've got one set up here, you would then select your appropriate payroll export and obviously export those hours and then import them into your payroll system. Now these are obviously also general, ones that have been set up. VIP, for argument's sake, also needs your specific information, customized in this report. QuickBooks also needs your company number in there. You need codes in there. So having these reports here doesn't mean that it's going to import into your company, because you need to edit that information there. So if you haven't been using payroll exports before and you would like to, you can contact your consultant and they can set that up for you and link that according to the import layout that is needed by your payroll system there. If you don't see this list here, you can always also just ask your consultant if it would be possible for you to import into that system. as long as basically as long as it can import information in either ASCII or text file or CSV, you should be able to, and that you can get that information from your payroll consultant as to what the import layout needs to be. Then a report can be customized for that then. Then you've got your last one, which we discussed a little bit earlier, which is your error screen. This is once again on a global basis, and as soon as there are any errors that you need to attend to, it'll change to a red stop sign. Now the other thing that can also be set up in CS Time as well is something called filter groups or filter lookups. So in this case, you'll see then, if I go to your browse employee screen, I will see all the employees that are in the system. Because I've logged in as an admin user, for example, and I can see all those guys. Now you might have then certain branches that you only want to see certain employees. I don't want, my operator to see another department's users. Just to show you then how that works, so that can be set up then if I just close this user module, and I'm going to actually open that again. And then let's log in as one of the other users. I'm actually going to log in as JHB. So this has obviously been set up then in, in the background. All the information as to what they may see and may not see has been set up there. I'm just going to close all these screens. And then I'm going to show you now, if we go to the Browse Employee screen, I will only see that users, employees, whatever branch they may see or company they may see, however that filter groups has been set up there then. You'll also see then, if we click on change, we've also set up filter lookups here, whereas I can go and see on branch, for argument's sake, I will only see that branch. And let's say there's certain departments that this operator may only see. You'll see they can only see admin, technical, and client services. You'll see that Department 3 is missing there. If I had to log into the other user again, they might be able to see all of them or only see certain ones. So you can also set, what lookups this operator may actually access or not, and which employees they may see as well when they actually log in then. You can also go and set up the security of certain screens, or the security to, if you don't want the operator to be able to go into the configuration module to edit any shifts or anything like that, then you can obviously restrict them to that as well. You can also restrict them to specific screens if you don't want them to even go and edit any, add any clockings or change any clockings. You purely want them to be able to view it. You can do that as well. And set that up there then. You can also set up scheduled reports. So if there are any reports that, let's say, in the morning you want to report the absenteeism report to print every morning and get emailed through, to the managers of those departments, that can also be set up in CS Time then. And that is, a basic overview. Obviously, there's a lot more features, job costing and, access control. You can set up all that stuff. You can go into quite a bit of depth there in terms of that information. But that's a general overview of CS Time and what it can do, just so that you can get an idea of that then. I'm glad that you could join me today, and I hope to see you in the next session. Goodbye.